Okay. Cool. Alright, so this is going to be... So we're going to start off with just testing that this super sweet task list works. I'd be very surprised if anyone else is here, but if you are, say hello. But yeah, step number 1 today is going to be just double checking some of the things that I've done since my last little test. I'm kind of just doing little mini streams until I figured out some of these tools and what I like and the things that I want to do. It's been a lot of fun. I love learning this kind of stuff. This is like, there's so many different like ways to go and things to work out. I'm adoring playing around with this. But yeah, if anyone is there, welcome. I am Cinders. This is my little channel. I'm trying things out. It's the whole point of this channel is to give things a go, have a little sort of play around with things while trying to fit that into the world of being productive and getting on with life and doing the stuff that we have to, like finding ways to fit in the fun parts and figuring out what we like and brings us joy in between all of that. I am going to be testing out that super sweet bot and seeing if it actually works. So I'll just do like now, test the bot. It works! Oh, that's amazing. I thought I turned off maybe the super sweet bot doesn't count as one of the common bots, but I thought that maybe it wouldn't come up in that overlay. Let's see if I can exclude that from my setup. Where is... Where is the Cinders Streamlabs? Not Streambeats, Streamlabs. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to actually set up this thing properly, but I really love the idea of having just a place where people can come and people can enjoy the little co-working vibe, can enjoy sitting by the cinders of the fire the night before and just having a little time, enjoying getting some stuff done, but also seeing and being around other people that just want to find the stuff that they like, that they want to enjoy, that they want to, you know, have a go at. I have spent the last, I say 20, but it's probably more like 25 years of my life very much doing a lot of stuff that I kind of just had to do. And I had fun along the way. Like, that sounds very dramatic, but I did a lot of stuff that I just kind of had to do in order to, like, you know, get by, and I did really well at some of that, and it got me to a point beyond getting by, but I kind of just did getting by comfortably. And I never really took a lot of time to just find out what I like and what I enjoy. So I am going to give this a go, give it, like, stream ego and dive into that and figure out how that works. And I'm going to try and do things like creating little paper products and stuff that I've been wanting to do for myself to like help me and help my life. I'm going to be doing a bunch of art. I've always wanted to do art stuff, like wanted to do drawing, wanted to do illustration, wanted to do like so many different forms of art, and I just never really gave it a go. So this whole channel, the whole purpose of this is basically just to so yeah, here you go. It's basically just to make sure that I find people and I'm inspired by other people that want to try and do things and want to find the joy of like learning what they like, what they love. I'm really excited by it, and we're which I think I've got a friend who's been hanging out in here, and they've been super sweet. Yeah, cool. I think that stream, the thing worked with Super Sweet Pod. Now it doesn't show up in the overlay. But yeah, I've really only had one other person come and join in here, and honestly, that was transformative on its own, just because we had this very beautiful moment where me and my real life friend who was like hanging out in the chat with me while I was trying things out, we got to talk about some really beautiful stuff over the course of like 2 little mini streams, of just how much it matters to just like try things, how much it matters to like treat things as art and do the things for the sake of like creating feeling and creating for the sake of creating. And I am really excited by the idea of, so there's a layer of this where I find it very hard to detach from the idea of trying to do it all. It's a pretty common pattern throughout my life, is just like wanting all of the things all of the time. And I absolutely find it so much easier when I'm just like, cool, I have to accept that there is a degree of things that I just need to do. I need to be productive in certain ways. I need to do a certain amount of stuff. But I still want to make sure that I don't sort of like do that all or nothing idea where it's like, cool, I want everything, and so I'm going to find a way to do it all at once and burn myself out. And on the flip side, I do nothing and I just really fully, head down, do a lot of work, and then don't live my life. Like, I really want to make sure that I find that balance. And what I've always found in the points in my life where I've had some degree of balance is being very clear and boundaried and like, this is where my productive stuff happens. This is why I decided I don't want to do just the just chatting category. I do want to do the co-working category. But I love the idea of doing the co-working category where people come together and they get through the stuff they need to get through that day, but they come together and they make room for a little bit more. Not to try and do all of it, but just a little bit more, just to try something, because otherwise we end up fantasizing so much about all of the things we could do, and then as soon as we hit a point where we're getting frustrated with that, we will go and we'll try and do all of it at once, and we will burn ourselves out, and we'll realize, oh my god, it's not possible, we can't do all of that stuff. And that is an awful experience. And it's so, like, you leave that so dejected and sometimes like so burnt out because you really gave it a go, which is really sad. And I've done it to myself so many times. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to just give things a go and be around other people who just give things a go. And to do that, I'm going to have to So yeah, I really spent a while trying to find like some sort of like local community or like group or something like that that was into like doing creative stuff together. But I want to try everything. I want to give everything a go, like in a structured way. I do want to kind of like do one thing at a time. I don't want to try and do it all, but I really looked for where can I go to have a little group that I can enjoy just doing anything with. I can enjoy watching them try and find what they like and explore that sort of stuff, and they can do the same, and that can be encouraging for me. Like I really wanted to give that a go, and I tried, but it's just not. Most like local groups are very focused on you know, a singular thing, which makes sense. And if it's not a singular thing, then it's at least a category. And I wanted to have a bit more flexibility around that sort of stuff. And well, if you've got just an entirely random group of people from the internet, that is a much easier and broader category to enjoy that kind of time with and enjoy that exploration with. So I really love the idea of, cool, like let's go and do all the stuff that we need to do to be productive, but let's also give some space in between those productive things to really just have a go at something for a second. One of the things that we've been fantasizing about, rather than all of it at once, trying to like put our life on pause. But yeah, so I'm trying to give that a go. To do that, I need to get people to come hang out. And so I want to make sure that this is a nice cozy space. I want to make sure this is a nice, fun place for people to come together and create a cozy community of just getting through life, getting stuff done, and giving stuff a try, like without burning ourselves out. And yeah, so that's what I'm hoping to do with a lot of this. It came from like I said, a very long journey of trying to do these things. And I needed a change in my life. And it has been really lovely to have a chance to just sit and try stuff. Which, speaking of trying stuff, I want to see how well the bot's actually working. I'm going to assume that Simi is just like a service is provided by someone. I need to look up their names because I want to be able to actually talk about them properly, because it's such an impressive little tool. But let's give it a go. So I've tested the bot. If we say, so soon, drink some water. Cool, and that still doesn't come up in the thing. But now if I do, I think it's now next. What kind of, oh no, done next or something, isn't it? Done. You finished the task. Yay, cool. So drink some water. Cool. But yeah, so I really want to make sure that this fits in with what people expect, at least. So I spent a lot of effort trying to, I think some of the things that stood out as like just basics for the co-working category was having the super sweet bot. I think that seemed like a pretty common one of like what people were really hoping to find and hoping to have when they showed up. But also, yeah, some music. I whenever I'm doing stuff, I try and have some lo-fi playing in the background. Occasionally I also have like something incredibly loud and obnoxious, but like that's when I'm sort of like need some high energy. But yeah, I was like, cool, I'll go set that stuff up. So found some music that I'm able to use when I set up the super sweet bot. Again, if the person ever finds it or ever sees this, or the people maybe, like, this is a cool program. Like, and as someone who has just been trying to learn how to set up and use a lot of these tools, like, yes, it was a bit off-putting trying to understand like the initial, like, okay, so I have to sign up to like I have to subscribe to Patreon, and then the stuff goes through there, and there's like bits and pieces, and I'm still trying to work out the Discord in there, but like the actual overall like simplicity of installing it, like, absolutely shout out to you. That was so easy in comparison to trying to figure out and deal with some of the other, you know, stuff that's out there for streamers. I have been struggling trying to learn some of these things and just kind of gave up for a lot of them. A lot of them are so like, here is like 5 different things that you need to mash together in this way. And I, you know, it makes sense. It's a community thing. Community things, like, they're going to be a mismatch of a bunch of tools that people have built up over the years to work together. So I'm gonna done now chit chat. I just want to make sure I'm still testing and playing around with it. But yeah, like, as with anything that is like community, or if you look into a world that you like, you see someone as they are now, you see a community as it is now, or you see some sort of thing working in the world, you are looking at whatever it is that they have done over like a huge course of time sometimes. And like, shout out to you everyone for like introducing at least some of the basics of like lore and how Twitch works as like a community, and some of the background there, because I watch a lot of VODs and I have like watched Twitch streams before, but I wouldn't say I'm like a massive Twitch person, or haven't been previously. I'm really loving getting to test it out now, but I don't want to sort of like be like, hey, yeah, cool, I understand Twitch, because I don't. And that's what I'm really enjoying getting to learn. But yeah, you haven't really like started to explain a bunch of stuff, and that really got my brain going on just like, cool, here is so many like different things that I get to explore and play around with and understand. And I'm really excited. I really love this kind of stuff. And even just like personally getting to learn and play around with things and like figure out like what skills I need to develop. So I used to be a teacher for quite a while, and so I feel like I've got the skill of like being in front of people and talking. Like I used to be on like a talking circuit for the industry I was in, and like, you know, went to different countries to go like give talks at conferences and stuff. I feel comfortable talking in front of people and like just blabbering on, and knowing how to like do that sort of as an improvised thing. But I'm really used to that from the perspective of someone who is kind of like being asked to be somewhere or being paid to educate someone because they're an expert in something. I am not very used to the concept of just talking, just straight up talking, more so for an entertainment and like energy point of view, and for someone to listen to and someone to like just enjoy having around. That is not something I'm used to, and so that's a skill that I was immediately really like, one, I really need to learn how to do that. I think there are parts of that comes naturally to me, but not all of it. But I really was excited with the idea of like, cool, now it's time to figure this stuff out, to go see how other people do it. And whenever I'm trying to learn something, whenever I'm excited about something, whenever I'm like, cool, this is important for me to like give a go, to like give a proper try, I really try and find people that I can like emulate and mix from, and enjoy just sort of like figuring out and paying attention to the thing that I'm thinking of the most, and like going and looking at how they do it. Because whenever we've got a problem in our heads, like as soon as we know that that problem exists, that's like an open loop that our brain wants to close. There's a really great video from, I think it's Truthless, that talks about this as part of the video. But if we really want to like learn something, if we really want to like dive in on something, having that open loop, having that unanswered question or like thing that we're unsure about sitting in our heads and not trying to immediately answer it, literally just like trying to keep our brain away from deciding it has answered it for itself enough. Like that is a really like engaging way for your brain to then just look elsewhere in the world, look around at everything else that is happening. And if you focus that on something like streamers you want to emulate, or some sort of like skill that you're learning, if you want to go and like learn how to do design, going and pay attention to like what people are doing when they're like approaching a certain design problem, that kind of stuff, being able to just like go and have that open problem in your head, you're gonna pay so much attention to those details and figure out, cool, how do I want to try and do that? And again, it comes back to like, these people have been doing it for a lot longer than you have. And even if they have only been doing it for a little bit longer, they've still been doing it for longer. And so there's so many things between where you're at and where they're at that you just don't understand yet. But it gives you that pathway, it gives you that like thing that you can do to go figure that out. And I really love that. I think it's really cool. And so that's how I learn like a lot of the time, is just like making sure I go and like have some open loop problem in my head, and I then like go and find the people that I want to emulate, or go and find the stuff that I think is really interesting about that, go and find ways to open that problem up more and more, while also kind of at the same time getting really specific about the areas of that problem to focus on. So that way I can go and make my own version or figure out my own steps. I don't know, I find it really interesting. I think it's a really great place to be. It's just to get to learn things. Yeah. I really want to try and make this a space for that kind of stuff. It's just like, come and do your work, come and do the things you need to do in life, come and do the things you need to be productive. But at some point while you're doing that, also try something that you want to enjoy, or just be inspired by the fact that other people around you are trying things. I think that's a really, like, it's what I want to create here. I'm really curious to see how that evolves. Hey, who knows? Maybe no one wants that and it's just amazing, but like, I'm really curious to see how it all works out. Yeah. But yeah, this is where I've sort of ended up. Is like, this is what I realized I needed, is like some place to go, some place to enjoy figuring out what I like. And I know one of the big things that I like is learning. I know one of the big things that I like is people. I find those incredibly engaging. I love engaging with people. I love community. I love getting to watch people grow and helping them and doing all that sort of stuff. And I love getting to sort of like go and figure out problems and give things a go. But what I was finding, and so I have ADHD. I have a bunch of other stuff as well, but like ADHD is a big core part of this, I would say. And there's also just like a lot of stuff for me that I couldn't, when you're going through your day, something about ADHD is like, the whole thing is like, it's meant to be sort of like, oh, this person can't focus, blah, blah, blah. I'm not an academic. I'm not trying to say this is exactly what ADHD is. But to me, the way I like to think about it, and it's really helpful for me to think about, it's not about the fact that we don't have focus. It's about the fact that we can't filter out the things we're not meant to be focusing on. And that makes it really hard to move through the day. And you see this sort of happen is like when someone with ADHD is like super interested in something, they finally get enough like to be able to like people call it hyper focusing, and then they lock in on something, but like, I don't know, that's just being able to focus, but we're not used to having the distractions of the billion other things that are hitting our senses and pulling our attention away, actually being signals for us to stop and go look elsewhere. And having that noise without any sort of filter throughout the entire day, it is a huge part of why, like, at least, again, I'm not going to talk for everyone. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in this because I'm so far from that. My experiences in the ways that, like, I talk to other people in like my friend group and stuff about this kind of thing, it's like, it is so difficult to, you know, estimate how long something's going to take, or figure out when something's going to happen, or when you're going to go and like change between tasks, because you don't know what your brain's not going to filter out, and you don't know what's going to exist in the world that's going to like take that attention away that you really needed to do that task. So you'll see, like, sometimes there's days where I'm just like, I can get through so many things and so many chores and so many bits and pieces, and I will lock in and I'll do great and it'll be fantastic, and I'll be so happy because I got like the whole house cleaned and everything is done. I got a bunch of like the you know, chores we don't do very often, like scrubbing, whatever. And I love those days, but they're usually not how it turns out. They're usually a series of like things that absolutely steal away my attention from what I'm trying to do, in like just a chain of events that never fully make sense and are always really difficult to explain to people. And like on top of all that, the general like overwhelm of things that are bombarding our senses that just eat away at the motivation and the ability to like focus and do things. I at my previous job, I used to explain it. So we've got a school across the road, and so at lunch and recess, like when they're not in class, they are very, very loud. And then we've also got the cat that will like run around the house. And we're not in like an old house or anything, but we've got it in an old enough house where it does make noises. Sometimes stuff drips or creaks or cracks or whatever. And I would be trying to work. I'd be doing something. I'd be trying to have a conversation with someone on Zoom or whatever. And I just would like become so distracted because there's just so many, like all of those noises that was just, my brain could not filter it out. But for a lot of other people that like have been in and around this house, it's just not, that doesn't even register to them. They're not even aware of it. Sure, sometimes they're like, oh my gosh, like the school's really loud today, but they don't notice all the rest of it, and they don't notice how much it like absolutely takes over your brain sometimes. And I just, I find it very interesting, trying to keep all of that out, trying to like give some space in my brain to like actually focus on the thing that's in front of me or that I want to do. Like that's kind of just how I think about ADHD a lot of the time. It's not really like this inability to focus, it's the inability to filter out all the things that distract you. And not in like a, ooh, shiny way, like in a, oh my gosh, all of these things need to go away, please, kind of way. And so what I find, I'm not sure if it's just on the ADHD, there's a lot of other stuff that about me that definitely could impact this as well, but I really find that really plays into like that all or nothing stuff, because you end up with this backlog of things. You keep getting distracted, you keep getting stuff that you're like, I'm gonna get this done, and you don't get it done, and it's so bad, and you're just like, no, I can't. I just want to do the stuff that I tried to do and then get on with the things that I really want to do. and you end up with things like what's called sleep procrastination or whatever it's called. And those little moments, those little things are these like points where we're trying to get it all done. We're trying to like do all of the things that our brain is holding onto because we just didn't get the chance because we kept having too much going on in our brain. And over the years that builds up, and it becomes this really, really demotivating thing of just all of the stuff that you just never had time for or never were able to do because the rest of it was too hard, the rest of it was too much. And it's tough. And I, unfortunately, started work very young, and I had to, figure out how to deal with that and find time for that, like the stuff that I still wanted to do and all the bits and pieces while working quite a lot and trying to support myself. And that, after being something that you learn to do very young, you don't really learn even, with the ADHD, like you don't learn how to then deal with that later. And it's a tough one to learn. And so you end up in cases like me, where it's just like you've been doing an intense amount of work for 20 years, and you're in your 30s, and you have a huge backlog of things you've wanted to do, you've wanted to learn, you've wanted to give a try, and you just kind of didn't that whole time. Like, you've done parts, and that almost makes it worse for some of them. It's very interesting. And then it just leads to like this exhaustion, because you just, especially for, I don't know if this is an ADHD thing, I don't know what it is. I blame the Virgo in me for this. But trying to find systems or trying to solve the problem of having too many things to do so you can try and do it all becomes its own thing that you just don't have enough time for, you can't seem to work out. And so you try and become like this master of the universe. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And that like layers on top of it all. It's eventually like you have so many different things that you want to give a try, and you have so many different things that you want to balance. And the thing that I learned recently, and well, not learned recently, I learned it quite a while ago, but I have to be reminded of it sometimes. And I had a friend in the real world remind me, do the most recent reminder of you can't, you just can't do it all. You gotta strip it back. And after that, there was like, so I do bullet journaling, and I always had a tough time with migration, because I really, rather than trying to do what you're told to in bullet journaling, which is just let things go, like just get rid of stuff. Don't migrate it over if it's not something you're actually going to do. Let it be something you rediscover, like next time you read through that journal or something. Let it be something you remember again. Like let it just not be part of the present, not be part of your load right now. Because even if you try and get your brain out onto paper, like if you just make that paper completely full, you're just going to keep bringing the entire thing back into your brain. And I just, I really had a good time crossing out literally over 100 things that I had been sort of migrating from month to month to month for like 6 months or so now. And afterwards, almost all of the things that I had remaining, I have done in the course of like a week and a bit, because I wasn't trying to spend all of my time figuring out how to do everything. I was actually doing the things, and enjoying them too, which was really nice. There's a lot of like sadness, because I'm like, oh cool, I have to give up the idea of doing some of those things for a while, until like I know that I can give time to that stuff. But yeah, I really, I'm really glad that like those little reminders of like, cool, you're overwhelming yourself. You're trying to do too many things, or not even trying to do too many things. You're trying to hold on to the idea that you can do so many things, because I wasn't even doing them. I was fantasizing about them, and that was a very tough realization. That's okay. I was it happens pretty. Unfortunately, the most recent reminder, there was quite a gap between that one and the last one. But I used to get reminded quite regularly of like, cool, I'm doing too many things. I need to pull it back, or I'm investing my energy into too many things, or I'm wanting to do too many things and not actually getting to do them, and just trying to find ways. And yeah, I think I'm very glad now to be able to create that space, create that like feeling of those things will happen. I just don't need to solve them right now. I don't need to figure out how to make them all happen at once. And I think that's really nice. I think it's a really calming thought to just not have to deal with all of it all at once. Because yeah, like I said, like I wasn't dealing with any of it. I was just fantasizing about all of it, and so I was expending all of the energy without actually getting any of the joy or the outcomes that I wanted from any of it. It was wild. It was very, very silly. But oh well. Yeah, it was a nice reminder. I'm very, very, very thankful for having that friend remind me. And yeah, my big focus right now is having that community feeling, having that thing, like a thing that I can be passionate about and where I can give myself that space. I also recently left a job. I spent 20 years in the same industry. And yes, like I am in my 30s, so I started in that industry very young. And that was also not my first job. But I spent 20 years in that industry, and I think I probably will like always do something related to it or something connected to it in some way. But and my opinion on this might change completely all of the time. But I really just, I think the experiences I've had have shown me there are ways that I was showing up to, there's ways that I can give myself the stuff that I want, and have the types of work and the connection and the ways that I want to do my work and focus my work without having to do it specifically on the skills that I've trained for so many years. It was a well-paying role, and it was a great job and stuff, like theoretically, but the industry as a whole is a bit and I don't want to say too many like things about it, but like I think that I really realized that maybe it's not for me, but it's I don't want to do it the way that I was doing it anymore. I don't want to be in that industry in the way that I was in that industry. And yeah, I am enjoying having some time to think about how to deal with the fact that I am no longer doing that and slowly burning through my money and stuff. But I'm really excited to figure out what I can do in the meantime and not treat all of that as required, and just be like, cool, what do I actually need? What is the basics I need to be able to like actually get by? And can I use like this time to find something that I can get by and still enjoy? And maybe I just have the getting by, and I don't need to do anything more than that for that part of my life, and I can come to do something like this where I can enjoy it and have the rest of that fun over here. I need to quickly run to the bathroom, but I will be hitting BRB for a second. Okay, I'm back. I also get to test the be right back thing and make sure I didn't have the mic still working while that BRB was on. I really would, that is like my greatest fear with doing this, is just those little accidental moments where it's like, oh, I shared something that I didn't want to, or I left the mic on and said something, or go in the bathroom and I don't want any of that to ever happen. So I'm very thankful that this that's right, I need to disconnect that one. That's right. I'm gonna do that while and I can do it after. There's a bot that I want to disconnect because I decided not to use it. That's all right. I've really enjoyed getting to do all these little test streams, getting to do all these little bits and pieces. And tomorrow I'm going to sit down and I might even do a little mini stream while I'm thinking through it. But actually, I just realized that's right. Yeah, I might even do it as like a little stream tomorrow. Again, I think I'm only going to do mini streams for now. I need to work out how that's going to work with like the Pomodoro stuff. And maybe I can just like test leaving it on and having like those longer streams where it's sitting in the background. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I also need to work out how to use some of the, so there's like, there is a way, I think it's the pinned messages, to just have like the little thing that's like, hey, here's what's happening, blah, 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 I'll be back at this time. And I want to maybe do something like that where it's just like, cool, I can leave it on for a little while and be like, no, I will be back and I will be your entertainment and encouragement and stuff once I'm back at this point, but otherwise here, come and chill and enjoy the thing. And I'm really excited. I don't know how or when or if I want to do it too soon, but just making little bits of art and graphics and stuff. Like I've started to do things like the starting soon and BRB graphics and like the little logo in the bottom and stuff. That is definitely a temporary version. That is a good enough version. But yeah, I really want to figure out like how to, what I want the graphics and stuff to be. And one of the things that I've got in my head is I like the idea of like the whole sitting by the fire thing, blah, blah, blah. But if it's cinders, and every time I think of cinders, I think of things like going camping and the little cinders in the fire the next morning, or when I lived in some of the houses I've lived in, the only like stove and heating and stuff was like a little pot belly stove. Having those things, like you wake up in the morning, you find like if you didn't like put enough in before you went to bed, like you just find like very, very last parts of that fire remaining, or like after like a beach party or something like that, like it's getting into the early hours of the morning and yeah, there's just like little cinders in the fire. Like I love those kinds of images that are in my head, and to me I love the idea of that sort of like, it is the morning, it is like the that calm moment where you're like getting yourself together, you're doing all these bits and pieces before you do the things that matter, before you go and like enjoy the day. And so I like the idea of like sitting by the cinders in the morning, and really just sort of like trying to find the flames for doing all the stuff that you actually want to do that day. I really want to try and play around with some graphics for that sort of stuff. So having little cinders that are all like the different colors that people generally associate with the 7 deadly sins, and making them kind of like cute and soft and like, you know, they're sort of going out there. They are like at the end, they're there as like just a very mild bit of warmth, a very, you know, subtle version of them that you can then use to, you know, be that like minor warmth that sort of like, you know, brings some of those little bits and pieces together. Sometimes we do need a bit of pride, sometimes we do need a bit of gluttony, sometimes we do need a bit of whatever. And I want to then have like, yeah, some of the overlays and stuff have the ability to like move to certain ones of those, so the different colors, where it can sort of match whatever the overall vibe is. Maybe it's a wrathful stream, and yeah, I don't know, I'm playing around with the idea, and I just really like that as sort of a take the 7 deadly sins and make them cozy. make them something that you wake up to in the morning, and you're just in a forest, you're in the bush, like, and you just see them when you come out of your tent. You see them, yeah. I just love that idea of like sitting by those. So yeah, probably try and do some like art and graphics. I might give it a go myself. It's going to be very poor quality because that's not stuff I'm good at. But yeah, trying to make some of those graphics, trying to have, particularly, like I said, what sparked the thought of this was like having some sort of background graphic while I'm not on screen that is just like, yeah, a forest, or like being by like, yeah, the little potbelly stove in the little, you know, tiny little shack of a house, like where we just sit by the little bits of fire that's there and try and stoke the flames again. And I don't know, I think I really like that as like a analogy for what I would like this channel to be and be a space for. I was saying the other night, I think with all of these things, I can want that, I can have that as the idea of what I want to do, but at the end of the day, like, what I'm trying to do here is bring people in and create a community and create a space where other people come in. So that will be created and curated by them, and I will get a lot of say in it because I am the one that is moderating and administrating this space. But like, they will likely feed off what I am putting out, and I want to make sure that, you know, that doesn't turn into just, here it's going to be like this. Like, I really want to see, like, I love watching and giving space for people to create the spaces they want and they need, and just like giving that a hand, or giving it a bit of guidance rather than trying to do anything, you know, very strong of it. I think there's obviously some stuff that I'd be firm on and wouldn't allow, and I need to make the rules list and stuff. But yeah, I'm really hoping that especially some of the early people that come in feel comfortable getting to have that impact, getting to share and create and act in the ways that they want this space to be as well. And for them to connect with like what I'm trying to do, but not just connect, also try and like, I just realized that the background music stopped. It is. Whoops. I'll start from here. But yeah, I really want to try and create that space where people can do that kind of thing and enjoy that kind of stuff and give these things a go. So here's hoping. It's probably a while off. I very much need to start doing, like, I've begun setting up the actual profiles, but I need to like make some shots. I need to try and do some bits and pieces over there that allow for discovery. I've noticed there's a lot of like little sub communities in Twitch around the co-working space, especially for like, there's the queer ones and stuff, and I want to figure out how to connect in there as well, like, because that's the other thing is like, for all of the work that I want to do to try and make space and create something here, there are so many amazing spaces that already exist, so many, and I adore starting to like be like, I mean, basically a lurker at this point. Like, I'm not involved in any of them in any meaningful way, but I really like getting to like go and see and enjoy that community that shows up in those channels. And I'm so excited for the chance to be able to like go and engage in that and go and find those and be part of those as well. And I think that's just really, yeah, it's warming my heart a lot at the moment to be able to have time to just go, cool, this is the thing that I'm doing right now. This is the thing that I'm giving my love and attention to, rather than trying to like go deep on finding another job exactly like I had and just continuing the same pattern. which, yeah, I don't know, it's really lovely. I'm really enjoying it. I think, because I have a concert tonight, yeah, I'm probably going to start to wrap up. Is there any other little tests that I want to do? Before I turn off the stream? I don't think so. Oh, there was the, hang on, where's the cheat sheet for Super Sweetbot? Because I'll give that a go right before I finish up. Make sure that I actually understand that probably where as it downloads. Probably, yep. So actually, yeah, I do want to try and make sure. Do I want to? I don't know if it's going to screw with anything if I change the timer for the Pomo. I guess I can always replace it next time. Done, Pomo. 20 study, or what are you doing now? Clear done, clear all. Cool. So I can do clear done. Cool. Oh, that's interesting. It still keeps the count. And then I do done. Cool. Now if I do clear all, does that get rid of the count as well? Yes. Okay. So then if I do timer, I'm going to do like 1-1. So I want to see you. Yeah, I want to make sure that it actually like works properly. And I think there was also in the Super Sweet Discord, they were like, hey, put your streams in here. And I was like, cool, that might be a nice little way to just, I don't know, I want to connect with that community. I want to connect with the co-working like category community. I want to connect with the queer part of that as well, like quite a lot. And I'm really excited to like find the opportunities to do that. We'll see. I just need to actually do a proper stream and actually give some stuff a proper go. And I think it's going to be really fun to... I need to check if that actually came through on the recording and the stream. I'll do that because I'll be able to check in the recording after. But what was I saying? Yeah, I'm just really excited to like connect with all that community and do all that sort of stuff. I think it's going to be really lovely. I am so taken away by some of the people in that community. Like not just the streamers themselves, but like just the people that show up and are in the chat. I think it's really beautiful. It's really wonderful. Just to see people be like, oh, cool, yes, we can just do some stuff together. We don't all have to like, you know. It's really hard to just engage and get some stuff done when you're doing it on your own. And it's nice to have some people there, even if virtual is a place to go. Hang on, let's do the timer. Cool. All right, so it did work. And if I do timer, oh, how do I like reset it? Timer. Pomo. 0 out of 5. Cool. Nice. All right. Well, that makes sense. Well, yeah. I think this is it. I don't actually know if anyone joined throughout this. if there were a lurker, and that is totally fine. That is exactly what I want to make this space for. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up. I think this was a nice little rant, even if it was, I think, just to myself. And if anyone was here, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the rants. But yeah, that's it for me. Bye bye.